Yes, it is a requirement that one side of a switched receptacle used for outdoor landscaping purposes provide constant power. This is covered in the 2020 National Electrical Code, specifically Article 406.8b. This section addresses receptacles installed for the connection of portable landscaping lighting and similar loads, stipulating they must be of the grounding type. Importantly, it mandates a specific circuit configuration. Firstly, one receptacle outlet must be on a circuit having overcurrent protection not exceeding 20 amps. Secondly, the other receptacle outlet must be on a circuit having overcurrent protection not exceeding 15 amps and shall have no other loads. In essence, the 20 amp circuit is intended to supply constant power, suitable for equipment like pumps or other devices that require continuous operation. Conversely, the 15 amp circuit is switched, allowing for control of light fixtures. This arrangement is crucial for several reasons. It ensures that equipment needing uninterrupted power can operate regardless of the lighting status. It also prevents potential overloading of the 15 amp circuit, especially if multiple light fixtures are connected. This division of power distribution provides both operational flexibility and electrical safety. It's important to understand the specific requirements of the 2020 National Electrical Code, or NEC, and how they apply to outdoor electrical installations, especially those involving switched receptacles for landscaping purposes. Correct wiring and adherence to the NEC are essential for safety and compliance. Article 406.8b is very specific about the overcurrent protection for each receptacle outlet. The 20 amp circuit provides constant power to equipment like pumps. The 15 amp circuit can be switched to power lights. The purpose of this arrangement is to provide constant power and prevent overloading of the circuit. It is critical for safe and compliant electrical installations to know the details of NEC Article 406.8b. This ensures that equipment needing uninterrupted power will work correctly. Overcurrent protection means that the circuit breaker will trip if the circuit is overloaded. The 20 amp circuit is for equipment that needs constant power, such as a water pump. The 15 amp circuit is for lighting, which can be switched off when not needed. This arrangement prevents overloading the circuit. In addition to the NEC reference, it is important to note the practical implications of this requirement. By having one side of the receptacle constantly powered, landscape lighting systems can incorporate features that require continuous operation, such as timers, sensors, or control modules. These components often need a constant power supply to function correctly, even when the main lighting elements are switched off. The switch side of the receptacle allows for convenient control of the primary lighting elements, enabling users to easily turn the lights on or off as needed. This combination of constant and switched power provides a versatile and efficient solution for landscape lighting applications. It's also essential to consider the specific types of equipment and lighting fixtures that will be connected to the receptacle when designing and installing the wiring. The load requirements of each device should be carefully evaluated to ensure that the appropriate circuit protection is provided and that the wiring is properly sized to handle the anticipated current draw. Furthermore, it's crucial to use weatherproof receptacles and enclosures that are specifically designed for outdoor use. These components are designed to withstand the elements and prevent moisture from entering the electrical system, which can lead to corrosion, short circuits, and other safety hazards. When installing a switch receptacle for outdoor landscaping, it's also important to consider the placement of the receptacle relative to other landscape features such as plants, trees, and water sources. The receptacle should be located in a readily accessible location, but it should also be protected from physical damage and exposure to excessive moisture. Additionally, it's important to ensure that the wiring is properly grounded to prevent electrical shock hazards. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker and energize the circuit in the event of a fault. This is especially important in outdoor environments, where the risk of electrical shock is higher due to the presence of moisture and conductive surfaces. In addition to the requirements outlined in NEC Article 406.8b, there may be other applicable codes and regulations that govern the installation of outdoor electrical systems. It's important to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable requirements. The electrician will also be able to provide guidance on the selection of appropriate materials and equipment, as well as best practices for installation and maintenance. Remember to always disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical system. Use appropriate safety equipment, such as insulated gloves and eye protection. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it's best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Incorrect wiring can lead to electric shock, fire, and other safety hazards. Furthermore, the 2020 NEC provides detailed guidelines on the types of wiring methods that are permitted for outdoor installations. These guidelines specify the types of cables, conduits, and fittings that can be used, as well as the requirements for bearing or supporting the wiring. It's essential to follow these guidelines carefully to ensure that the wiring is protective from physical damage and environmental factors. The NEC also includes requirements for the identification of conductors. These requirements specify the colors that must be used to identify the different types of conductors, such as the hot, neutral, and grounding conductors. Proper identification of conductors is essential for safety and troubleshooting purposes. When installing a switched receptacle for outdoor landscaping, it's also important to consider the aesthetics of the installation. The receptacle and wiring should be installed in a manner that is visually appealing and does not detract from the overall appearance of the landscape. This may involve using concealed wiring methods, such as burying the wiring underground or running it through conduits that are painted to match the surrounding surfaces. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may be local codes or ordinances that govern the installation of outdoor lighting systems. These local regulations may specify additional requirements for the types of fixtures that can be used, the placement of the fixtures, and the amount of light that is permitted. It's important to check with the local authorities to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable regulations. The NEC is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and industry best practices. It's important to stay up to date on the latest revisions of the NEC to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and compliant. The NEC is available for purchase from various sources, including the National Fire Protection Association and other retailers. Many jurisdictions also make the NEC available online for free. Beyond the specific requirements of Article 406.8b, the NEC addresses a wide range of topics related to electrical safety. These topics include grounding and bonding, overcurrent protection, wiring methods, equipment installation, and special occupancies. It's important to have a thorough understanding of the NEC to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and compliant. The NEC is not a substitute for professional training and experience. If you are not a qualified electrician, it's best to hire a professional to perform electrical work. Electricity can be dangerous, and incorrect wiring can lead to serious injury or death. Continuing education is essential for electricians to stay up to date on the latest changes to the NEC and industry best practices. There are many different resources available for continuing education, including online courses, seminars, and workshops. It is important to remember that the NEC is a minimum standard. In some cases, it may be necessary to exceed the requirements of the NEC to ensure that an electrical installation is safe and reliable. This may be the case in situations where there are unusual or extreme environmental conditions or where there is a high risk of electrical hazards. Ultimately, the goal of the NEC is to protect people and property from electrical hazards. By following the requirements of the NEC and using good electrical practices, you can help to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and reliable. Article 406.9 covers the requirements for the location of outdoor receptacles. It states that all 125-volt, 15 and 20 amp receptacles installed outdoors in a damp or wet location must have an enclosure that is weatherproof whether or not the attachment plug is inserted. This can be a box with a cover that is listed as weatherproof while in use. Damp locations are defined as locations protected from weather and not subject to saturation with water or other liquids, but subject to moderate degrees of moisture. Wet locations are defined as locations subject to saturation with water or other liquids, such as vehicle washing areas, and locations exposed to weather. Always follow all manufacturer's instructions when installing electrical equipment. Make sure all connections are tight and secure. Use appropriate tools and equipment for the job. Inspect the installation after completion to ensure that everything is working properly. Keep the area around the receptacle clear of obstructions. Periodically inspect the receptacle for signs of damage or wear. Replace the receptacle if it is damaged or worn. The 20 amp circuit, serving as the constant power source, should be carefully considered in terms of its load capacity. While the code specifies a maximum overcurrent protection of 20 amps, the actual load connected to this circuit should be well below this limit to prevent nuisance tripping of the breaker. Calculate the total amperage draw of all devices intended to be powered by this circuit and ensure that it does not exceed 80% of the breaker's rating. This derating factor is a common practice in electrical design to account for continuous loads, which are defined as loads that operate for 3 IOs or more. Therefore, for a 20 amp breaker, the maximum continuous load should not exceed 16 amps. Furthermore, the wire gauge used for the 20 amp circuit must be appropriately sized to handle the anticipated load. Consult the NEC table 310.15b16 for the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors. The wire gauge should be selected based on the ampacity requirements and the temperature rating of the conductors. It is also essential to consider the voltage drop in the circuit. Voltage drop occurs when the voltage at the load is lower than the voltage at the source due to the resistance of the conductors. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction or operate inefficiently. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. To minimize voltage drop, use larger wire gauges or shorten the length of the circuit. The switched 15 amp circuit, intended for lighting, should also be carefully designed to prevent overloading. Calculate the total wattage of all light fixtures connected to this circuit and divide by the voltage to determine the amperage draw. Ensure that the total amperage draw does not exceed 80% of the 15 amp breaker's rating, which is 12 amps. Use energy-efficient light fixtures, such as LED lamps, to reduce the overall load on the circuit. LED lamps consume significantly less power than traditional incandescent or halogen lamps, which can help to prevent overloading and reduce energy consumption. The switch used to control the 15 amp circuit should be rated for the intended application. Use a switch that is specifically designed for outdoor use and is rated for the appropriate voltage and amperage. Consider using a timer or photocell to automatically control the lighting. Timers can be used to turn the lights on and off at predetermined times, while photocells can be used to turn the lights on at dusk and off at dawn. These devices can help to conserve energy and improve the convenience of the lighting system. When installing the switched receptacle, ensure that the wiring connections are properly made and that the receptacle is securely mounted in a weatherproof enclosure. Use wire connectors that are specifically designed for outdoor use and are rated for the appropriate wire gauge. Tighten all connections securely to prevent loose connections, which can cause overheating and electrical hazards. Finally, remember to test the installation after completion to ensure that everything is working properly. Use a multimeter to verify that the correct voltage is present at the receptacle and that the wiring is properly grounded. Test the switch to ensure that it is functioning correctly and that the lights turn on and off as expected. By following these guidelines and adhering to the requirements of the NEC, you can ensure that your switched receptacle for outdoor landscaping is safe, reliable, and compliant.